We all want to capture a moment. To freeze beauty, joy, love in a frame forever. But what if the camera didn't just capture the light? What if it captured the life inside? For Jeremiah Michael, a photographer starving for recognition, the antique camera he found was a miracle. It didn't just take perfect portraits. It stole the very essence of his subjects, pouring their talent, their charm, their very soul into him. He became a god of artistry overnight. But a soul is not an ingredient. It is a whole universe. And trapping multiple universes inside one man creates a chaos that no lens can focus. Jeremiah Michael had the eye of a hawk and the luck of a leper. In the bustling creative city of Port Isokan, his photography was technically brilliant but soul-crushingly empty. He watched lesser talents, like the vibrant fashion photographer, Zainab, rise to fame, their work pulsing with a life his lacked. His flaw was a deep, resonant envy, masked as artistic purity. He believed he deserved their spark, their magnetism. His desperation led him to the dusty back room of Prince Oddities, a shop that smelled of mildew and forgotten history. The old proprietor, a man named Tabogo with one cloudy eye, watched him browse. "You look like a man searching for a key," Tabogo rasped. "I'm searching for a lens that sees what I see," Jeremiah replied, frustration sharp in his voice. Tabogo smiled, a thin crack in his weathered face. "Or a lens that sees more than you do." From a locked, leather trunk, he produced a camera. It was a beautiful, brutal thing, a vintage medium-format camera with a body of dark, worn wood and brass fittings. The lens was impossibly clear, deep as a well. But the leather strap was stained dark in patches, like old blood. Along the side, intricate carvings depicted not scenes, but small, screaming faces flowing into the lens. "The Ika-ọkụ," Tabogo whispered. "The soul box." It was used long ago by a colonial anthropologist who didn't just want to study our people. He wanted to own their spirit, to understand their magic by trapping it in silver and gelatin. It was cursed by a dying priest. It does not take pictures. It takes impressions of the soul. Jeremiah, skeptical but desperate, felt a magnetic pull to the device. What does it do? Point it at a person. Capture them. The developed photograph will be perfect. And essence of them. A talent, a charm, a skill, will transfer to you. Permanently. And the subject? Jeremiah asked, heart pounding. Tabogo's good eye fixed him. They will feel a little less. A hollowing. The price of the transfer. How much? Jeremiah interrupted, his envy already rationalizing the cost. Tabogo named a price that cleaned out Jeremiah's savings. As Jeremiah left, camera in hand, the old man called out a final warning. "Remember, boy. A vessel filled with many waters becomes muddy. A mind filled with many souls becomes a prison. When you see your own shadow looking back at you, it is already too late." Jeremiah's first subject was a young street saxophonist, Dennis, whose music could make angels weep. Jeremiah took a single portrait. The click of the shutter was unnaturally loud, a sound that seemed to suck at the air. Dennis staggered, dropping his saxophone. "Whoa. Felt like I just forgot my own name for a second," Dennis laughed shakily. But when Jeremiah developed the film in his darkroom, the image was breathtaking. It didn't just show Dennis. It seemed to contain the very echo of his music. And Jeremiah could suddenly hear melodies in his head. Complex, beautiful jazz riffs. He could pick up Dennis' discarded saxophone and, with clumsy fingers, produce a hauntingly perfect note. He was ecstatic. Next, he photographed a renowned poet, Comfort, known for her captivating voice at readings. The click. Her stumble. The stunning portrait. And Jeremiah found words flowing from him in eloquent, powerful verses. His social media began to buzz. Jeremiah Michael, the Renaissance man, they called him. But the hollowing in his subjects was real. Dennis' music lost its magic, his playing became technically proficient but empty. He quit the streets, confused and depressed. Comfort's poetry became hollow recitations. She stopped writing. Jeremiah didn't care. He was addicted to the theft. He stole the sharp wit of a comedian, the graceful dance moves of a ballerina, the shrewd business acumen of a CEO. He became a kaleidoscope of stolen genius, the most brilliant and captivating man in any room. The first consequence was the noise. In the silence of his apartment, he heard whispers. Fragments of thoughts in Dennis' melodic cadence, Comfort's poetic metaphors. They were faint, like radio stations bleeding into each other. Then came the shadows. He'd see, from the corner of his eye, the silhouette of the saxophonist against his wall, or the dancer's pose in his shadow. They would vanish when he looked directly. The final warning sign was his reflection. One morning, he glanced in the mirror while shaving. For a fraction of a second, his reflection didn't mimic him. It continued to stare blankly ahead, with Dennis' sad eyes. Then it snapped back. Terrified, Jeremiah decided on one last, monumental theft. He would photograph his rival, Zainab, the vibrant fashion photographer. He would steal her visionary eye, her creative spark, and become the undisputed master. He invited her to his studio for a collaborative portrait session. Zainab arrived, a burst of color and energy. She complimented his recent work, though her eyes held a strange scrutiny. "There's something familiar yet cold about your new pieces, Jeremiah. Like beautiful ghosts." He laughed it off, positioning her. He raised the Ika-ọkụ. He looked through the viewfinder. And instead of Zainab's smiling face, he saw a terrifying composite, a shifting overlay of all his victims' faces, their mouths open in silent screams, their eyes pleading. The camera was showing him its album. He gasped, lowering it. The vision cleared. Zainab was just Zainab. "You okay?" she asked. "Fine," he muttered, pushing his fear down. This was the final step. He raised the camera again. He pressed the shutter. The click was like a thunderclap in the silent studio. Zainab didn't just stagger. She collapsed, falling to the floor like a marionette with cut strings. The sound Zainab made as she hit the floor was not one of impact, but of emptiness. A hollow thud. Jeremiah rushed over, his heart a frantic drum against his ribs. "Zainab. Zainab, talk to me." Her eyes were open. Blinking slowly. Alive. But they were vacant. Like beautifully painted windows looking into an abandoned house. She breathed, but the vibrant intelligence, the fierce creative fire that was Zainab, was gone. She was a shell. A perfect, breathing mannequin. Panic, cold and slick, poured through Jeremiah's veins. This was different. With the others, it was a hollowing, a diminishment. This was an eviction. He had taken too much. Or the camera, sensing his fear and his ultimate greed, had taken everything. He managed to prop her up, get her to sip water. She complied mutely, her movements smooth but without purpose. "I'm taking you home, you're not well," he babbled, guilt and terror twisting his words. He drove her to her apartment, guiding her inside like a sleepwalker. He fled, telling himself she just needed to sleep it off. Back in his studio, he developed the portrait of Zainab. It was the most stunning image he had ever seen. It captured not just her beauty, but her very essence, her spirit, frozen in a moment of luminous creativity. Looking at it filled him with a surge of visionary power. He saw light and shadow in ways that made his head spin with possibilities. He had her genius now. All of it. But the whispers in his mind became a cacophony. Zainab's voice was the loudest, a constant, silent scream of terror trapped behind the film. He could hear Dennis' mournful jazz, Comfort's frantic poetry, all overlapping, a symphony of stolen lives. And the shadows solidified. He would turn and see the ballerina standing in the corner, perfectly poised, but her form was made of shifting darkness. The comedian's silhouette sat in his armchair, head in its hands. They were no longer just impressions. They were prisoners, and his mind was their jail. The final straw came from the camera itself. He kept it locked in a case now, afraid of it. But one night, drawn by a morbid pull, he opened it. The brass fittings were worn. And in the depths of the dark lens, he saw movement. Tiny, shifting faces, Dennis, Comfort, the CEO, the ballerina, Zainab, pressed against the glass from the inside, their mouths open in silent agony. The camera wasn't just a tool. It was a battery. A soul prison. And he was its warden. He knew he had to undo it. He remembered Tebogo's warning about the shadow. It was too late for that. But there had to be a way. In a frenzy, he went back to Prince's Oddities. The shop was dark, closed. But the door was unlocked. Inside, the smell of mildew was overpowering. Tebogo was there, sitting in a chair in the dark back room. He didn't move as Jeremiah entered. "You've been busy," Tebogo said, his voice dry as dust. "The box is heavy now, I can feel it from here. How do I give them back?" Jeremiah pleaded, tears of desperation in his eyes. "You have to tell me. She's empty. They're all trapped." Tebogo's cloudy eye seemed to stare through him. "You cannot pour a soul back into a vessel that has been scrubbed clean. The hollowing is permanent. The soul in the camera, it is a pattern on silver. A ghost. To free a ghost, you must break the box that holds it." "Break the camera?" Jeremiah asked, a spark of hope igniting. "Break it, and every soul trapped within will be released, into the air. To wander. They will not return to their bodies. They will be lost. And you," Tebogo finally turned his head, his good eye boring into Jeremiah. "You, who have housed their echoes, will be left with nothing but the silence where their voices were. And they may not leave peacefully. A soul torn and trapped knows its thief. What's the other way?" Jeremiah demanded, sensing there was more. "The other way," Tebogo sighed, "is to complete the collection. The Ika-ọkụ was made by a man who wanted to possess the spirit of a people. He believed if he collected enough, he would become a god. A composite being. You are halfway there. Fill the camera. Become the ultimate artist. A living gallery of souls. Their prison will be your flesh. You will be everything, and no one, forever. Jeremiah recoiled in horror. I don't want that. Then you have only one path, Tabogo said, rising slowly. But be swift. The box is hungry. It has tasted a full soul. It will now seek them on its own. Your shadow is no longer your own. It belongs to the box. Soon, you will take pictures without meaning to. And it will choose the subjects. As if on cue, Jeremiah felt a familiar, awful pull in his gut. The camera, back in his studio, was calling him. It had chosen its next subject.